So earlier today, Colin Cowherd on his show, The Herd, made 5 bold predictions for the 2024 season. So let's hear what he has to say.
My 5 bold predictions. I can make easy ones. Josh Allen's going to be good. Andy Reid will make the playoffs. No, I don't choose that. I'm not looking to be perfect. I'm going to take some bold predictions. Are you ready to go here?
I'm ready, Colin.
The first one's kind of negative. I think Dennis Allen, Saints, is the first coach to be let go. They've missed the playoffs back-to-back years. The NFC South, Atlanta and Carolina are undoubtedly better teams. No question, the Falcons and the Panthers are much better teams. 4 of the first 6 games for Dennis Allen are against playoff teams from last year. I don't see the juice offensively. I think Dennis is the first coach to be let go. Number 2 is I think Jaden Daniels, Washington, wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, Caleb Williams has better weapons. So Jaden's going to have to move. He's going to have to run. I think that's going to play well. He's going to feel like RG3 did first year in Washington, his legs. I don't think Caleb, with all those weapons, will have to move as much. His offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury, has a reputation. He's very good with mobile quarterbacks, and he was pounding the tables for Jaden Daniels. I also think, this is my opinion, the division is not as good, so I think Jaden wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Number 3 is...
I don't think that's the craziest. I do feel like maybe some of those rookie receivers could also be pushing for it, but at the end of the day, lots of these positions, it's quarterback awards like the MVP. But I really don't feel like Jaden Daniels will be that far off of Caleb Williams this year. I think they could be pretty similar in their production. So I don't think that's the craziest idea.
I think the Rams may not win it, but I think they reach the NFC Championship. I don't know if they can beat Detroit. I don't know if they can beat Green Bay. Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, Sean McVay. That's a big-time offense. And they have given their last 2-3 years, all their draft capital up front is defensive dudes. They've been a top 10 scoring offense 2 of the 3 years Stafford's been there. I really like this team. And no noise. No noise. San Francisco, nothing but noise. Kyler Murray, he'll be some noise. No noise, no expectations. The hardest 2 games of the year to win are a conference championship and the Super Bowl. I'm not saying the Rams win the conference championship. I think they get there. Number 4, I think Jordan Love wins the MVP. First of all, the last 10 starts last year, he was the best quarterback in football. Yep. Also, I think there's voter fatigue with Lamar, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes winning MVP. We want a new story. Media likes stories. He's fresh. He's fun. Also, I think they're stacked offensively with an offensive coach. Josh Jacobs, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Luke Musgrave, Christian Watson. I think they have. And last year, their offense at the end of the year, it was like, whoa, what do we got here? Young quarterback, generationally aligned with all his young receivers and tight ends and O-linemen. I think this offense is magic this year.
I think that's a somewhat solid prediction. Of course, in the NFL, there's so many talented quarterbacks, and if you're going to win the MVP, you have to be on a very, very good team and be somewhat, typically MVPs, sometimes there's close races when it comes to the final MVP vote, but you have to sort of be head and shoulders over other guys when it comes to typically looking at your stats. And I do think that just because you look at Jordan Love's stats last year, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, just looking at his stats. You look at his final 8 to 10 games, as Colin Cowherd mentioned, he was one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks to end the season. And so I think that when you throw in the fact that he's going into his second year starting, you look at lots of guys, the more playing time you get, the better you're going to be, especially with this young Packers offense. So many rookies last year, and now coming into 2024, the rookies from last year, a lot of them got a lot of snaps, like Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Luke Musgrave. A full year under your belt. Last year, the Packers were having to figure things out early on. Like, what do we have here? What kind of quarterback is Jordan Love? Does he have it? The rookies were having to figure things out. There were constantly missed assignments, running wrong routes. But that sort of smoothed out as the season went on. And so I think now you throw in the whole season a full offseason, I do think Jordan Love will be much better than he was last year. And so I don't think that's a crazy idea that Jordan Love could win MVP.
And finally, I think Dallas narrowly misses the playoffs. They have the quietest, least talented running back room, in my opinion, in the league. And Dak Prescott, when he has to throw over 40 times, is 8-18 in his career. And I think the NFC is better than it's been the last 2 to 3 years. So the NFC's tougher. He has no run game. If they don't sign CeeDee Lamb, they're not only going to miss the playoffs, they may not have the same coach by mid-October. They have got to sign CeeDee Lamb. They were quiet in free agency. I don't see a ton of depth. So I don't think any of these are crazy. These are my bold predictions. I'll put it out there.
Okay, so that last one I have to disagree with. I do agree that the Cowboys aren't going to have quite as good a team as last year just because of some of the different weapons they lost. But as long as CeeDee Lamb is here in Dallas, which I believe he will be, I just think that Jerry's taken a long time. It's a contract dispute, contract discussions. I really don't see CeeDee Lamb not being in Dallas this year. I think they're going to 100% get a deal done. And I think when you have CeeDee Lamb, who is arguably, one of the best receivers in football, Dak Prescott, who in the regular season was one of the best last year. I think he probably will be up there this year when it comes to the regular season. I'd still think you have a solid offensive line. You added some pieces there during the draft, and their defense is still, I think, going to be very good when you have one of the best defensive players in Micah Parsons. So while I agree that they're not going to be quite as dominant as last year, I still think they are going to be a playoff team. I think they just have too many solid pieces to not make the playoffs, even if it's as a wild card team. And I know the Cowboys get a ton of hate because of what happens in the postseason, and I would agree with lots of that. Like when it gets time for the postseason, for whatever reason in Dallas, it just has been they've been unable to get past certain marks and get to an NFC championship in like 30 years or so. And while I fully agree with that when it comes to postseason, I do not trust the Cowboys at all. I just think with even what you saw last year from the Cowboys, still one of the best offenses in the NFL. Sure, you lose a couple pieces, but Mike McCarthy's still there. Dak Prescott's still there. You lose Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was not that good last year. And so while I don't think Zeke is going to be the answer here, I don't feel like Rico Dowdle is that much of a downgrade to what Tony Pollard produced last year. And at the end of the day, I think your offensive line is more important than your running back. Sure, you would like if they had added someone else, but I think if you have Rico Dowdle, he can still do enough to make this team have a fine running game. I don't think running back is that important if you can find a talented guy, and I think Dowdle is a very talented guy, and I think he should take more snaps than Ezekiel Elliott, who is not the running back he once used to be. So because of all of that, I still think when you have a very good quarterback who has played really well in the regular season, you're still going to have a shot. And I think that just looking at the other NFC teams, the Dallas Cowboys are going to be one of the best 7 teams in the NFC. That's not really a question in my mind. So those are my thoughts. Agree with a few of those. A few of them I disagree with. But if you want more NFL content like this, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.